Nah, why would you shave it? You've got good hair. I mean, I can't see James. Take a look what's going back there, but like,
I think I'm pretty good back here as well. Like,
nah, it looks.
Yeah.
Yours is solid. Yours isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what my mate who cuts my hair is like. This isn't going anywhere. I feel like he would know. Like,
Yeah, they would know because they look at
heads
all that,
day.
yeah.
Like a friend of ours is pretty bald and is still getting his hair cut by our friend.
Yeah.
And every time he posts it in our chat, we're like, our friend Helmet who cuts his hair, we're like,
his name's Helmet.
His nickname's Helmet.
Is that because he cuts hair or for something else?
No, well, it's because when he was a kid, he had like a bowl cut, and like now even his mum calls him Helmet.
Really? Oh my god, she gave it to him.
She gave it to him. But we're just like every time our friend who's going bald gets his hair cut by him, we're like, he's like stealing money off you. Like
Yeah.
he should not be still cutting your hair.
Is it scrappy? Is it clean to some? Is there hair there to actually cut?
I
What
think
is
it's
it?
like mostly at the back, but I mean he's going like a skin fade kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like I mean I guess it does look.
I
good.
mean, your hair's already fading, babe. Like, what are you
Yeah.
fading at this point?
But at this point, it's like you could go the skull shaver,
Yeah.
like that thing.
I feel like if you're gonna go the full cut, you just need to get jacked.
Yes.
And you could go full prison style. Like you've got the old school, like the traditional tattoos.
Yeah, I could go that style. I'm back in the gym at the moment, so
Just get yourself ripped.
Maybe I need to get locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, All Sweet Podcast, episode 14, 15. I don't know. I don't keep track. We've got a guest here, Ben Searle, comedian, punk rocker, great hairline. What else is going on with you? Tell me.
I mean, you've covered it all. That's it. Yeah, end the podcast.
That's the
it.
trifecta you want to be known as.
Yeah, if we could get that message out there,
If
I'd
you
love
walk
that.
away with anything today, it's the fact that people will know you as the guy with the great hairline. My
Yeah.
first guest to actually have hair.
Yeah, you've like had a series of bald men.
Yeah,
on.
I'm doing my part for the ethnic bald community. But then what happened was the lights were reflecting off their head too much. It was costing too much in post-production. I couldn't do it anymore. Anyway,
You
let's
have to
get
get
into
some
you.
talcum powder or something to like dab them down.
Anyway, so what's going on with you? You're a comedian. You've got a show coming up.
Yeah,
Let's talk.
Yeah, just kind of in the kind of frenzy of getting ready for comedy festival at the moment, which is great, but also like it's sort of like coming up to comedy Christmas, I suppose. Yeah. I feel like Melbourne. I haven't done any of the other festivals this year, so just kind of like Melbourne's it for me. So I wish I'd done Perth and Adelaide to kind of like ease into it a little bit more. But
Have you did you used to go up to like Perth and Adelaide and all that during the festivals?
I've gone there like separate to the festivals. Like I only went to Perth the first time late last year. I just didn't really make Perth just like seemed far away. And when I used to play music, we never went there. It was always like do a tour except Perth.
I didn't realize you played music as well. I thought you were just like a massive music fan and it stopped there. So you're a musician too.
Yeah, I think the last time I played music was 2017. My last band finished up. But yeah, for a few years there I was playing in bands. And
What did you play? What kind of
I
music?
played bass and I sang.
Man, me too. I'm a bassist. All right, here we go.
I think I would say that I played punk music, so I'm very much self-taught.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was probably as skilled as you were or are. Because you're playing again now, right?
Yeah, I'm playing in a circus thing soon.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I had to tap out of the festival for that.
Damn.
yeah.
Yeah, played bass for a long time. A couple of years ago I sold most of my stuff now. But I don't know. I've always kind of got the itch to do something. But
do you find, because one thing I hear from a lot of comedians, they go on about the adrenaline rush they feel on stage during comedy. Like, oh, it gives me this adrenaline and this high. And I'm like, it's not the same as music. The music high for me is a lot more. How is it for you? How does it compare?
I would say it's just like different.
Yeah.
I would say because I think the music thing, it was like the most fun part for me was always playing live, and same with comedy. And I guess like a lot of people would have that. It's like playing live is the thing.
Yeah.
It's the fun part. Like it's not fun going to band practice or like
every other little thing.
Every other little thing. Like with comedy, it's like, it takes discipline to sit down and write and do your admin and stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to do that to do the real thing, which is do it live. With music, I think I got a different feeling out of that. Like it was just, and I think probably because you're doing it with other people, there's that kind of shared thing.
When you toured, so you toured with music a bit, and you've obviously done gigs interstate and everything with comedy.
Yep.
How did you find that initial experience of doing those gigs? Like, because I found it jarring because I was always touring with other people.
Yep.
And then one day when I went to go do my first interstate gig by myself, I was like, wow, it's just me on my own. I have no one to speak to until this gig and nothing to do until the gig.
It's pretty, like, it's a really different experience because, like, and particularly playing in bands, we often would do the, you know, we would be in the van, we would be in the car, we'd be driving because you got to take all your gear.
Yeah.
Or you're either going to the airport with everyone, you're, like, checking in all your stuff. You really spend a lot of time alone doing comedy. And I guess that's the reality of it. Like, if you want to push it to that next level, unless you've got like a team around you, it's like you're probably most likely going to be traveling solo.
That's why it's like when you look at Andrew Schultz, he's kind of like created a little entourage for himself, a little gang of people he tours with. Or like Jerry Seinfeld, he brought down, and I've noticed the bigger comedians will try to tour with their mates.
Yes.
You can't really do that at our level, but you can, but not everyone's able to or can time it the same. And
it's often, I think there's a certain level, whereas, I mean, the odd thing that I found jarring coming into comedy when I was doing both for a while. My last band kind of overlapped me doing stand-up by about 2 years. And I mean, I was just doing open mics at that stage. But also that was kind of jarring because coming from music and particularly the punk scene, it's like, book your own gigs, you just call up a venue and you're like, or email them and say like, hey, we want to book this date. We'll book the lineup. We'll do the show. And then coming into comedy, it was like, oh, now I have to kind of fit into this system of like, it's like, well, you got to go do these gigs. And once you're good at those, you can do these gigs. And then you can book the next gig and stuff like that. So
there's so many things that I found. One thing I found particularly jarring is, remember with music gigs, the whole lineup or all the bands on that lineup would stay and watch the other bands. If you were the band to leave during another band set, you would be considered the biggest asshole band. No one would want to play with you guys again.
100%.
No one's going to book you guys. In comedy, everyone's just like doing their five, ducking out. Initially, I was like, fuck, everyone's a prick.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think that is also that's a more recent thing, I suppose, as well. And I say recent, probably like bit before COVID and afterwards. I think particularly in Melbourne, the scene was a lot smaller when I started. And I guess there weren't as many options to go and do other gigs. So the people did hang around and hang out. And that was kind of a way to, you know, you still have to build up a community. Like, I mean, I came into stand-up and when I started, I was very like, oh, you know, I already have my music community and my friends. I don't really need that from comedy as much. But then also found like you have to know people to progress in anything. Like you have to be mates with people and you don't have to be mates with everyone, but you have to
shake hands occasionally.
You have to be like, you know, somewhat of a good person to be around.
Yeah.
But I think comedy you also have to do it a lot. So if you can do multiple gigs, you don't really have the option in music to like run around town and do multiple gigs in a night.
No, imagine just lugging around your equipment from venue to venue.
Maybe if you're an acoustic songwriter, you could do that. Just bounce around a few music open mics. But yeah, it's interesting. It's I guess like we were talking before we recorded about Crab Lab, a gig that used to exist in Melbourne. That was kind of like people would go and hang out at the end of the night. So they would bounce around at the gigs, but then kind of end up
that would be like the unified place where everyone, if you want to see people, that's where you would go.
Yeah, and it started a bit later than the other gigs and it would generally run late and it would be a bit of a hang afterwards as well. But I think people are a bit more professional with stand-up now. Like it's not as much like, you know, people getting really wasted. Like people
were people getting wasted before?
Yeah,
you have the pre-COVID era of comedy, of apparently people partying and being fun. Because I've not seen fun people drink. I've seen very damaged people. Maybe you've seen these damaged people in a different light.
Probably a bit of both. Yeah. No, I think like when I came into comedy, there was much more of the scene was a lot smaller and there wasn't as many comedians. So you couldn't like I find it odd now where it's like there are so many comedians I don't know, and I probably don't do as many of the open mics as I used to. I probably should, but I'm trying to like manage my energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just way more people doing it now, and the scene is a lot bigger, which is great. But yeah, there would be more like hanging out in comedy years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Which I guess is maybe not a bad thing in some respects. Like people are drinking less, so that's probably something.
I think. See, I don't really drink, but I would prefer the hang.
Yes.
I'm someone. Anything I do, I try to. If I can make a hang involved, I can't exist without a hang. It's like my job out of this is basically hangs.
Yes.
The podcast, I'm like, how can I find a way to incorporate hangs? Like, if there's no hang, I'm not interested. And even with the comedy gigs at the moment, I was like, there's no hangs happening. It's not. And then I hear about you, and then you guys would all go out, or you would all have this unified place. Like, people meet up now at the Comics Lounge. What am I doing at the Comics Lounge? I've never performed there.
Yeah.
I feel like a fraud hanging out.
Yeah, it's sort of a weird balance. Like, I think everyone feels that there is a bit of like imposter syndrome hanging out. And I definitely found that when I was like, there was a kind of a group of comedians that would all hang out, and I'd be like trying to make my way in there a little bit. And it was very embarrassing to look back on. But I think also it's just kind of putting yourself out there a bit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's normal to feel like that. But if there is a place, I think it's good to, show your face and to be around. Like, so much of comedy stuff is like networking, and I mean, that term like has such a bad name around it, but it effectively is that.
But I think there's a difference between just being a likable person. The one thing I hate, and I can't stand it, I've encountered it so many times, is the people who tell you that there's somewhere to network.
Yes.
It's like the professional networkers. I went to Festival Club one year, and this one guy comes up to me and he's like, oh, this is a great, great networking here, great network. I'm like,
oh my God.
No one wants to network with the professional networker. Like, just be a cool person, be a fun hang, and that's it.
That's like very LinkedIn culture.
Yeah.
I feel like, and it's like, it doesn't quite work in the arts, I don't think.
It doesn't. It's like, if you think about all the artsy people, they're there because they don't like LinkedIn culture.
Yes.
And if you're trying to come at them with LinkedIn culture, it's not going to work. It's like people think that people aren't going to see through that. The
100%.
whole pandering, I loved your show, I loved this. It's like, just be fun to be around.
Yeah, look, there's nothing better than being a good hang in comedy. Like, I think that is 100%. And I mean, if being a good hang is different for different people.
Yeah.
So I think finding your people, like I think for me, I've kind of found the people that I really like in comedy, and there's still always people that come into it that you meet that you're like, all right, this is a person that I get on with.
Yeah.
Our styles are kind of similar, or maybe they're quite different, but just
you gel for whatever reason. You find them easy and all that.
Yeah, and I think that for me has like, I think comedy can be a very like solo pursuit.
Yeah.
But you still need a bit of a community around you. So, and I think that's kind of like from punk stuff, the side of it that I really like is community, and kind of like this sucks if we don't help each other out.
100%.
And like, the world is kind of fucked, and it's like, what do we have apart from each other? That sounds very airy fairy.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just boring. I found it so boring on my own.
Yeah.
Like going and doing gigs, and even in music, interestingly, because my band that I was in, it got to a certain point where, when you're starting off, you're sharing hotel rooms, you guys are together constantly. And even if you hate another bandmate and they hate you or whatever, there's an element where it's like, yeah, these two don't get along, but we're all together and you make it work and everything. But
it's a shared experience.
100%. Then once I know, for me, as the band progressed, and then we all started getting our own hotel rooms, we all were in a thing where we could do things separately, it became less fun for me.
Yeah. Look, I didn't quite get to that stage of having our own hotel rooms, but there were times where we would like, we're sleeping on someone's floor in their basement all together, and we're like, we just had a fight in the van, or like not even an outward fight, just like and we're like,
the vibes were off.
But we can bond over the fact that we're in a basement with no aircon, and there's like, it's basically a shed that we're sleeping in, but we got to do it. Because
why is it so much? It sounds a lot cooler to be sleeping on floors and in sheds in a group with other people than just you by yourself.
I think it sounds cooler in hindsight.
Yeah. But just you on your own sleeping, like at that point, you by yourself sleeping on someone's living room floor, it's like you're basically just the homeless dude. But as a group, it's like you guys are just struggling artists trying to make it work. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's the struggling artist narrative, I think. It's like, you're trying to pursue a dream. I think there's something in that. Whereas by yourself, it's like, a bit sad, Yeah,
it's like, what am I doing here? There's so many comedians I know who are, let's say, realistically more successful than I am, according to followers and stuff, followership. Yep. And then I'll be talking to them and then they're like, they spend 6 months of the year just finding people's couches to crash on.
It's hard. Like, I mean, I have done a fair bit of stuff interstate, mostly Sydney and Brisbane because the scenes are great there. And while I was working full time, I would go and I would find a cheap hotel or I luckily had some friends in Sydney that had a spare room and I would stay with them. This last little trip that I did late last year, I was like, all right, I'm going to spend about 2 weeks in Sydney, 2 weeks in Brisbane. And I tried to stay with people the whole time and try to make it really cheap. And it was a bit of a reality check of fuck, you have to do that to make it economical.
Yeah.
Some of the gigs you're doing don't pay that much and you're like, oh, it's like an exposure.
Yeah, you weigh it up to a degree.
You really have to weigh it up. And then there were definitely times I'm 37 and I'm staying in my friend's sister's place who was super lovely, happy to have me there. And I was like, do feel a bit weird about this.
And some of the rooms that you end up staying in, it's like their 5-year-old daughter's room. She's got Bratz and Barbie posters, but they've moved her out of the room for that night so you can have the room. You're in a single bed that's a bit short for you. It's like, what am I doing here?
Exactly. I think I've also heard some stories about some comedians that probably were quite famous that are now sleeping on the couch of an open mic guy. And I'm like,
yeah,
man, you'd surely have to look yourself in the mirror at that point and not your own mirror, someone else's mirror.
You don't have a mirror to look at.
You don't have a mirror and go man, I'm a dude that's in his 50s and I'm sleeping on this 20-year-old's couch. What am I doing? Time to give my career a shot in the arm.
And do you know what's so funny about that? When you think about the open micers perspective, you just know they're thinking, oh yeah, if I let this person sleep on my couch, I'm getting a support slot. It's
exactly.
You're not getting anything. This 50-year-old is just going to try find a way to bring their other broke 50-year-old mate to the same state that they're in, hopefully sleep on what other couch you've got so then they can open. You're not getting the opening slot.
Exactly.
You'll be lucky to get a ticket, if anything.
Yeah, it's so the reality of... Because, I mean, I guess in so many art stuff, it's there's so many people that don't make it. And you look at your own career and you're you have to kind of figure out how you're satisfied by it. And I think for me, if I found myself in that situation, it'd be yeah, probably time to get a job again.
Yeah, unless you love it that much. This was a big epiphany for me because I was I don't love it to the point where I will sleep on other people's couches for 6 months of a year.
I think it's everyone has their own version of what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I think also it's there's no rules that say you have to do that.
No.
And you have to I remember there's an American comedian, Ali Siddiq, who's got a couple of great specials on YouTube, and he was the narrative of having to quit your job to do it is kind of can be a bit of a bad one for some people because I think something that is really good for comedy is having stability.
Yeah.
And some people can do the sleeping on couches, doing whatever week to week, but things are fucking expensive at the moment. It's there's nothing wrong with having a paycheck, even if that's part-time. And maybe that stops you from a couple of comedy opportunities. But what is great for comedy is being mentally well and knowing that you can pay bills.
And feed yourself.
Yeah.
I find it so cute when comedians quit their jobs. They're I'm in comedy full time now. It's no, you're full time unemployed now.
Yes.
with the aspirations of doing comedy full time.
Exactly. Like people say to me, like I was like, oh, I quit my full-time job. I am still doing bits and pieces of work, but also like I just hated my job too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd been there for like 5 or 6 years, and people are like, congrats, man, on commuting. I was like, don't. It's not congrats.
Yeah,
it's just
people congrats. Same happened to me. I left like a pretty decent paying job, writing copy and doing advertising for big brands. Hated it. Left, and everyone's congratulating me, being like, congratulations. I'm like, congratulations. I'm more stressed than ever now. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
It's a classic experience, I think, because I think it takes a little while to adjust as well.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's probably taken a year and I'm still very much figuring it out. Because I went from basically having salaried work since I was 17 to now like 20 years to like adjusting to being a freelancer basically, and have managed to make it work and are putting, a few different jobs together and doing random work here and there. But, and then, enough work from comedy to kind of put something together.
It's almost like there's a shift with that where I think to a degree we're conditioned. Here we go.
Yeah.
As soon as conditioned comes out, it's a podcast. It's like we're conditioned where we have to, of course, everyone's situation's different and has different like needs that they need to meet. But we're conditioned to think, you have your one salaried job and that's your staple job and that's it. And I think that is very safe and that's the go-to option probably for 90% of people. But there's nothing wrong as well if you really hate that way of life, having multiple streams of income and just doing multiple different bits and pieces. Probably a very ADHD thing, most likely, to just have multiple different things that you can do to get money.
Exactly. And I think most people, there's probably more examples out there than people think, because I think I'm basically have just started my own small business, and that small business does like 6 things. Yeah. That small business is mostly me doing stand-up. One of it is running a comedy room. Some of it is doing some video editing for friends. Other bits of it is doing some driving work for some music festivals. And then the other thing is just whatever random shit comes up and doing some ads and stuff like
Ben
that.
Searle Creative Enterprises.
Yeah, it's just like my friend.
If you built a website for all those things, it seems like a legitimate company.
Exactly. A friend of mine, Callum, is like an artist and maker, and he's carved out a niche for himself, and he sort of makes a lot of things, helps other artists, and he just sort of says he's a professional person. Yeah. And I really like that kind of that term that he's coined. He's like, I don't really know what I am, but I've made a career out of it. And I think if you're a person that kind of like likes doing things on your own and wants to sort of carve something out for yourself, I think it's a good way to do it. It's not for everyone. Yeah. But then also like I think about like there are plumbers that work for themselves and they get their work from all different places. It's like, it's not that bizarre. No. Like it's just basically having a small business.
Yeah, essentially that's what it is. And just find your way to sell your skills, whether it's designing or writing or creating events and stuff.
Basically, my main job at the moment is don't go on my phone. Yeah. If I can do that, and actually be productive, that's the main thing.
And the ironic thing with that is probably 90% of the things that you need to do require your phone.
Exactly. Yeah.
So with music, when did you start getting to music? How did you get into it?
Well, music was always, because I always liked comedy stuff, but it just took me a long time to get to it. Yeah. I think music stuff just started from high school, and I, did guitar lessons when I was in primary school and high school. Then, got into punk music through, Blink 182, and just loved music. My dad was my parents are both big music fans, and they kind of instilled that love of music in me. And then met some mates in high school that kind of like were into playing music, had a high school band that we played in our friend's bedroom. Then after that, started going to shows. Like a mate's older brother had a metal band that played around Melbourne, so we just went to all their shows and got exposed to other stuff through that. And just started joined a couple of bands, and some of them.
Was it always punk, or was it other things as well?
Yeah, some of it was like maybe a little bit like country influenced as well. And some of it was a bit heavier, like, you know, kind of more in the punk and hardcore scene.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I played, I would say, was the two main bands that I played in. I joined a band called Kissing Booth. That was most of the gigs that we played, or the gigs that I played, just playing bass, and that was very much in the punk scene, like. I guess bands like the Smith Street Band and things like that.
I feel like I've heard of the name, but I'm not sure if I'm confusing it. Like, it's either a very good name where straight away you're like, I've heard of this.
It's a great name.
I feel like I've heard of it. Probably seen you guys some point ages ago.
It's so funny. Like, I'll meet people. Like, I go to a lot of shows now, and I mean, I always have, and I'll go to shows and I'll like meet someone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we played a show together once." Like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, played in that band Kissing Booth and just played bass and a bit of backup vocals, and then after that I played in a band called Crush, where that was kind of like Jimmy Eat World sort of influence sort of stuff, like that kind of like emo music.
What was your biggest gig? Like, out of all the music gigs you've done, do you have?
The biggest stuff was like probably Corner Hotel, like that kind of level.
Was it part of like a bigger lineup or a support slot?
Supporting slot. So we did a lot of support slots at like Northcote Social, Corner, Interstate. I think we did Newtown Social Club, which doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
And we played like Crowbar in Brisbane, which is back now.
Yeah.
So
all the main venues of that time.
Yeah. So we kind of hit that level, at least at a support slot level. The band that I was playing in Crush was kind of like getting it was probably the most creatively fulfilling band for me, because I played bass and I sang and I wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah.
And a small label in Adelaide put out a 7-inch for us. Our friends band series were doing pretty well at the time, and I mean they're kind of doing shows again now, but they kind of put us on a few support slots.
Yeah.
So that kind of, but then like 2017, it was, I would say, like that thing you talked about of like sticking around and watching all the other bands. We sometimes weren't great at that, and sometimes weren't great. I don't think we really put in as much effort as a band needs to put in.
What do you think, what area was lacking in terms of the effort you put in?
I think like to be successful as a band, and I've kind of, I now do a podcast where my mate and I talk to a lot of punk and hardcore people and talk to a lot of metal bands and stuff. And the reason that podcast has sort of done so well is like we are at shows, like my mate and I. We go see a lot of bands, and I think music, it's like, to be a successful band, you have to be at shows supporting other bands and be part of the community.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that is so important, like for music and a lot of other creative stuff. It's like it doesn't work unless you're supporting other people in your area. Like, for instance, like with comedy, it's like going to see other comedians
shows
and you know, particularly when festivals come along, it's like you're not going to be able to see everyone, but or you know, sharing other people's stuff and going like, hey, here's a mate of mine that's a comedian, I think you should be a part of. It's like,
I think it's really important to do that, because there's some people I encountered. It's funny, but I'm not sure if you found this, but between music and comedy, you encounter the same person.
Yes.
The same breed of person.
Yeah.
And it's in the music scene and in the comedy scene, I've encountered that person who's like intentionally keeping themselves separate from everyone.
Yes.
Because they've they don't operate on the same wavelength as everyone else. And I found it with music. Like, it even happened recently at a friend's venue. A friend opened up a venue in Sydney, and there's this one band floating around at the moment who, because of Instagram, you know, now everyone can post things. He posts this thing of we're revolutionizing rock and roll. Like, every 5 years there's a band that's got to revolutionize how everyone does rock music. And they rocked up to this venue, and you could just tell they had pre-planned to, we're going to come in full costume. We're going to rock up 4 hours later.
This so much.
Rock up 4 hours later. The singer leads as everyone follows in after. It's
my God.
No one's looking at you like, wow, who are these guys? They're looking like, who are these pricks that have just walked in?
Yeah. And it's funny that like you can do all that stuff, but what's also works is just being nice and being like a fan of other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes it feels a bit hokey, or it feels like sincerity is sometimes not very cool. But I think it's also like just a nice way to be.
I think for me, I think it's the best thing. And I think there's so many comedians I talk to where you can't have so how's your week been? Or what do you do for just normal chats? Just have a normal chat and let people see the real you.
Yes.
And that's a lot easier to connect with.
Yeah, I think at its core, maybe a lot of people in this stuff are probably insecure. And I mean, I've been that person. I've been pretty standoffish, and it took me a long while to actually learn that lesson. So I think probably when I started, I was a bit standoffish, and I think that was probably about me being insecure. Like, oh, I don't feel like I fit in this space.
Yeah,
and so you put that wall up. So
100. I've 100% done that as well.
Yeah, so I think, not that I want to fucking give advice out, but it's like I think for people, it's like, if someone was like, oh, how do you get through that? And I think it's like it's an important thing to kind of push through, because if you make that your whole thing, I think people see it. I think they're like, that person is like got a wall up. They don't want to give anyone anything. Sometimes it makes for great comedians. Like you meet some bizarre people who do comedy, and they're so laser focused on comedy that they are weird to be around.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're the funniest comedians, but they are awful to hang out with.
But it's almost, but you know what, to a degree, it's like their skill backs up that whole thing.
Yes.
But the thing is, that's truly them. That whole vibe is them, and their whole thing is that they can't converse with anyone. And they're hilarious on stage, but you take them off stage and they're useless in any social interaction. And that's fine, because that is that person. Whereas the ones that go in and be like, you know what, I'm gonna be the person who's like mysterious and like, or I'm gonna come in bigger than I am, particularly that now that's with music. The ones that come in with this whole rock star attitude of we're way better than these other bands. And like you said, not sticking around or come in with this like superiority. People see through it, and it's just lame. And who you got to win over with that anyway?
No, and it's like you need to support each other at those early stages as well. Like and all the way through as well. Like, I mean, doing the arts is hard enough, like financially, and there's not much government support out there, and it's like it only kind of works if we help each other. So it's when you see people that feel like they're too good for that, it's a bit like,
Yeah. The government support's interesting, because it's like it exists, but mainly for people who don't really need that support. It's like the amount of film funding that I see that exists, where it's is your budget for your film going to be $100,000? Because we'll give it then. It's like, well, how about these little smaller projects that probably do need the money?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bizarre kind of like balance, I think, trying to find all those like different things. So, yeah, it's I guess that's a long version of how I got into music.
Yeah. And in terms of any favorite or special moments from music, or
I think talking about playing the corner like that, I mean, that was always like a big checkbox.
Yeah.
And like I think 2 shows where we supported our friends in series, like in terms of music stuff, that was definitely like the height of it. For me, at least, like, and probably not so much in terms of like numbers and things like that, but just in the terms of how the band sounded at that point, because we'd done a couple of interstate tours, and like, I think just from playing, whenever a band finishes a tour, they're probably like red hot.
Yeah.
And it's always great. Recently I saw a friend's band right after they got back from Europe, and they were just like sounded incredible, and they were super tight. So whenever you get to those levels with music, that was always great. And yeah, playing those shows at Northcote Social and Newtown Social, which is not there anymore. But for me, musically, like in terms of how we sounded and the reaction from the crowd, like that was like peak.
I think those gigs are more fun as well, because there's an element happens where you can sort of mentally tap out of the music and what you're playing, and just enjoy and trust that everything sounds good. Trust that everyone's playing it.
And I think you're really connected with the crowd as well. I was driving a very big band the other day, and they were talking about playing Max Watts where the show was, and they were like, "Oh, it was such a great intimate crowd. We could see people's faces," and they were like, "You don't get that when we're so used to playing arenas and festivals where you're not connected with the audience." I was like, "Must be nice."
Yeah, it's so funny when you said intimate crowd. You could just—that's the difference between different bands. When I heard intimate crowd, Max Watts.
Yeah, I know.
For most people, that would be like, "We're playing Max Watts, huge gig, try to pack it out." They even pack out the full room, like the massive gig, and like, "Oh, nice little intimate. This is a club gig."
Yeah, it's all about perspective, I think.
100%. That'd be nice to get to that point.
Yeah, it's it's interesting comparing it with comedy because like I was talking with another comedian the other day about watching a special of a comedian that was like an arena special, and they were saying like, there just wasn't something quite right about the special. And I think comedy, like, it gets to a certain level where maybe it's too big. Like comedy really works in tight, compact spaces or theaters. And they were saying like, there's something a bit lost, or maybe comedians have to get good at doing a certain type of gig, because like watching this band the other night, like they were clearly used to playing arenas, so it wasn't really my thing, the band, but seeing them play Max Watts, I was like, man, this band is unreal.
Yeah.
Like so it was interesting to watch like a band that's like really cooking.
Would you say they were like cooking, for lack of a better word right now? Would you say it was both a music thing and a visual thing, like the performance and how they performed?
Yeah, it was like a bit of everything. Like it was like they sounded great and clearly were just like like everyone in the band was a complete professional.
Yeah,
and also just like I think they hadn't. I think it was their first time in Australia, but the band's been around since like '97, and they had way more visual elements than I thought, like stuff projected behind them.
Yeah.
They were also all dressed up, and there was like interludes between each of the songs, and it was almost like a full production. And I guess like you have to do that when you get to a certain level.
Yeah. So it's almost like they've scaled down their bigger show to suit that venue.
Yeah, and it was like, man, in this venue, it's like it was almost too much.
Yeah.
But it worked.
It was fun.
Yeah.
See, this is a lot of people hang shit on 80s rock because I'm huge, like 80s rock and Motley Crue, and I love all that as much as it gets tiring to listen to dudes or old men now singing about banging chicks and alcohol and cocaine in the boys' room. It's like, all right, give it a rest, hang up the leopard leotard. But those gigs, when I see those 80s videos, they look so much fun.
Yes.
And they put on a show and everything's full on. And I guess now I look at it, it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the time, imagine being there after when you'd have musicians that would literally just be musicians, probably like in the 60s and all that. And then throughout the 70s and 80s where it became more theatrical.
Yeah.
Well,
I think at a certain level you have to do it. Like, because, I mean, Parkway Drive, massive Australian band. And I mean, I have now seen every version of that band because, I mean, I saw them when they were kind of maybe a couple of years after they, started getting a bit of hype around them. And I saw them at Camberwell Civic Centre, which at the time was a big show. That was an all ages show. I can't even remember what year that was, 2006 or something. And they were just a hardcore metalcore band. And then they have got bigger and bigger and bigger where they played like massive venues. And then like the recent tour, it was basically like the whole stage was on fire.
Yeah.
The drummer was fucking spinning around in a big kit. And it was an incredible stage show.
Yeah, so someone's got money now.
Yeah, someone's got money. And I think from hearing, things about them, they put all their money back into their shows. And it does show. Like I was like blown away by this, and I was like, I can't believe they're playing songs that I loved when I was like 21, and now there's fire.
You've seen it evolved and grow,
And I was like, you just have like the basic version of that doesn't work on a big stage like that. Like if you're playing Rod Laver, it's like you got to do something.
Yeah,
you got to have a bit of theater about it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, coming into comedy, like. I'm not going to have flames at Catfish.
No.
But there is something about like setting, making it a bit of an experience. Like, I make sure the music is good.
Setting the atmosphere, essentially.
Yeah, and having good lights and stuff like that. Like, I think comedy more than anything, it only works in certain settings. Like, you would have been to some gigs where you're like, they don't have a proper light, they don't have this, they don't have that.
Or they don't have a proper stage. You can tell the difference between a gig where, those gigs where you literally get up off your chair and I'm on the stage now.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're sitting leveled with everyone else. There's some guy on a beanbag like a meter in front of you. It's like, this is someone's living room. Not saying it's not going to be fun, but the difference in then performing at a gig that has... It's funny how an elevation makes such a difference.
Big time,
to what you have to say. You instantly become someone that it's like, all right, I have to listen to this person now.
Yeah, there is something about it. And yeah, comedy, I think like it's weird. Like, rooms with low ceilings is great for comedy because the laughs kind of stay in. Like if it's got high roofs, you feel like the laughs get a little lost or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes there's always the exception to rules. Like, there's some venues that are absolutely fucked and then they have great comedy shows. Yeah. But for the most part, it's like, a little bit of effort kind of goes a long way.
Do you know what I've always found bizarre? Sorry, this is just coming to my head with talking about the rooms and all that. Whether it's music or comedy, you've kind of, imagine we essentially have just elected ourselves as the person.
Yeah.
Who's, I'm going to be the person who's funny for the next 5 minutes. You all have to listen to me. Oh, I'm going to be the person who grabs my little guitar and hop up on this little stage, play my little song. You're all just going to watch me.
It's like a magic trick sometimes because like particularly with comedy, like it's like I think people if they think too much about it, like I'm watching one guy talk up there and like they could stand up at any moment and start yelling. I mean, you see it. I mean, and you see some gigs that are not very set up very well. That does happen. Yeah. Like someone, the audience is just like, this is not a show.
Yeah. It's those people. It's like in that moment they've had that epiphany.
Yeah.
We're like, hang on, what am I doing? I'm just watching some dude. Let me disrespect everything that's going on here right now.
It really is only social convention holding these things in place sometime. I mean, most people are pretty scared to, do that in comedy. Like I forget that, I mean, I still get nervous doing it sometimes. For some people, it's like their biggest fear. Yeah. But yeah, it is a funny kind of like social contract we have.
You're essentially just relying on the unwritten rules of society. Yeah. That no one's got to get up and just snatch the mic off you.
Exactly.
At most, someone might yell something.
Yeah, well, I have had that happen.
You've had it happen?
Yeah, there was a gig Southside at the Lucky Cock years ago on Chapel Street.
Of course it happened there. Of course, Chapel Street, yeah.
It was a Tuesday gig. It was upstairs and it actually got pretty good in the end, but it was like a hostage comedy or like a surprise comedy situation where it would be like, hey guys, there's comedy on, and then try and do comedy to people who are like eating cheap pizzas and stuff like that. Sometimes the gig could be great and like often I guess you'd encounter people that are out drinking on a Tuesday. It's like really giving it a nudge.
Surprise comedy's hilarious.
Yeah.
Just in itself.
Yeah, I feel like it's, it's always the comedy that's like happening in the corner of a pub or something like that.
Yeah, and no one wants you there. Like Nan's birthday is happening 10 meters away and then you're telling a joke about some date that you've had.
Exactly. Like, I mean, if I was out at a pub and that happened, I'd be like, let's fucking get out of here.
Yeah, so I'm trying to have a chat right now. But even the ones then that they see surprise comedy has happened and rather than thinking, you know what, I just want to catch up my mate, let's remove ourselves from this scenario. They're like, no, I'm going to stay here and continue whatever it is that I have going on because now you, with your little jokes, have infiltrated into my space.
Yeah, those people I think are just like, they're just like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Actually, fuck you.
So you had the mic snatched off you?
Yeah, it was just someone very drunk. I think there is a video of it. I should find it. That's probably a good thing to put up.
Yeah.
But it was just like someone trying to grab the mic. And I think they wanted to do karaoke or something.
Oh my God.
It was a very bizarre experience. But someone that was like chatting to everyone in the audience like the whole time, like talking back to every comedian like it was a personal conversation to them.
Yeah, you know the type. I know the type.
Yeah. So that gig was kind of known for it a bit. Yeah. Sadly not there anymore. But it was, I mean, it also like was very fun at times as well because it was like a loose crowd. Yeah. But you know, that's the roll of the dice with gigs like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, but even those kind of people have always interested me because it's, what is it about a certain person that thinks, you know what, I clearly am not meant to speak right now, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to interrupt or take it to the next level and snatch someone's mic.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like, you know, if someone's really drunk, it's like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. It happened last night at the gig that I run, Catfish. Comedian Zach Dyer was on stage.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of one of his bits, he was talking about Bisexual Awareness Week.
Yeah.
And this woman in the audience was just like, does that exist? Like, just talked back to him, and she's like, so what do they do for it? I'm like, just asking all these questions, and he's like, look, maybe just look it up afterwards.
Yeah. It's like, I'm on something here.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, I guess some people just don't get the conventions. And I think people like, you know, a lot of people don't know what stand-up is. Like, it's weird. Like, some people just don't actually get that it's a comedy show. So in terms of like staging the gigs, a lot of times you have to go like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have people come up here and talk. They're going to do this. You have to sort of set expectations for people.
That's why the role of the MC is so important.
Yeah.
And when you have, and this is why certain MCs, when they either do only crowd work and set the vibe, obviously you do some crowd work to help the audience settle in and help comedians, if they want to do crowd work, know who they can kind of work with and all that. It helps you sort of sense the night a bit. But the comedians that go up and do only crowd work for like 15 minutes. Like, all right, we got your first act. And then that first act's just like a storyteller comedian.
Yeah.
And then like, hang on, why is this person talking at me now?
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. Like, I feel like, and I think people expect more crowd work these days because of
videos.
Because of videos. And, you know, understandably, people use crowd work clips because, you know, they can burn that and stuff like that. But someone was telling me the other day, a mate of mine who doesn't do comedy, he's like, oh, I went to a show the other day and that thing, every comedian had not been there for the other comedians and they all did crowd work.
Yeah,
and they were like, so what do you do, mate? And he's like, this is the third time I've been asked what I've been doing.
Yeah.
He was just like, we left after that because I was like, I can't be asked what I do again.
Yeah.
And all of them were trying to like, rip on the comedians, rip on the audience as well.
Yeah.
Whereas I think as an MC, you kind of, I mean, I MC a lot, or I try to, and I host a lot of the Catfish gigs, and I think I try and do a bit of crowd work where it's like, you know, just talk to people, get to know them, not, oh, what do you do? Oh, that's shit. That sucks. And the admin is so important because, like, I think the admin also shows that you know what's going on. Like, it's a bit of a subtle mental trick to go like, this is what's going to happen. And they're like, oh, this person is an authority figure.
Yeah. We have to listen to him.
Yeah.
And do you think we'll see you on a music stage anytime soon or in the future?
I would have said no, like, but I always have the itch. But,
that was my problem.
Yeah, a mate of mine sent me some songs the other day that were from an old project of his, and he was like, this was going to be our next album, and we never did anything with it. And he was like, I'm thinking of reworking some of the riffs that I wrote for this. And I was like, man, these songs are fucking great. And I showed it to my housemate who also plays music, and he was like, I think we got to do this band. And I was like, for me, I'm a bit worried about like splitting creative projects, like spreading myself through
across comedy and music? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I think because when I did both years ago, I was sort of felt like I wasn't doing both well. But I think,
I know what you're saying.
I think the music stuff would be more just for fun.
Yeah.
But
are you into music music comedy at all?
Not really.
I have my thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people have said to me like, why don't you do
both? You've got the skill. That's why I hear.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I just don't think.
Is it an element of, for me, it's a thing of they both make me happy in different ways.
Yes.
And then to combine both of them would mean I'm enjoying both these things I love now a lot less.
Yeah, and I think you're doing a watered down version of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there are some comedians that have gone down, are stand-ups and then have gone down the musical route.
Yeah.
And some of it's great, some of it's really awesome, and some of it is just kind of like, I also, I think I'm just not a great musician as well.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed playing live and I can play bass, but I'm not a technical player, and I was never the key songwriter for the music side of things.
Yeah.
I wrote lyrics and I enjoy that. And I think my core thing is performing live, storytelling. That's what I really enjoy. So I enjoyed singing and I enjoyed writing lyrics because that was kind of storytelling. I enjoy stand-up. I enjoy working on things and making it funnier. I think the combo, I feel like I just don't feel like it would be that great.
Yeah, they both serve you in different ways.
Yeah,
almost.
but I guess with anything, it's like never say no.
You never know. So I'm interested in like writing the one-off, like just releasing a musical parody song. But I'm not interested at this point doing a whole hour of quirky little comedy songs. It's very separate for me.
Yeah, and I guess you never like when I started comedy. I was kind of at a time where the band that I was playing in had kind of not gone. We kind of just came to a stop.
Yeah.
And the way that happened is our main guitarist. We got offered this tour and he wasn't like responding to our band chat.
Yeah, classic.
And I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, what do you think about this tour?" And he's like, "I sold all my stuff."
Oh, great. And then he just ends. That's it. And you've got your punk show coming up?
Yeah, so that I talk a fair bit about that in that, but mostly it's kind of like the show. Yeah, the show's called Punk Music, but it's kind of just like how that shaped me, what I've like about punk music, but it's sort of just the best of my stand-up from the last little while and kind of with that as the main theme.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be a bit of fun.
And where can we see you? Where are we buying tickets? Let us know. How are we getting there?
Jump on my website, Searle.net, or jump on the Comedy Fest website and type in punk music. My show comes up. So Cooper's Inn, April 8th till April 20th, doing 12 shows. No Mondays, but really excited to be there. My show's at 7:40, so it's a good time.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. So it's a couple of shows have sold really well so far. So it's pre-sold better than any show I've done. So I'm stoked.
And if like in a few words you had to just sum it up, what would you?
It's my journey through punk, and I talk about this one tour that my band went on that kind of was a bit fraught with a few perils.
Yeah.
So that one tour kind of it makes up most of my show. So
amazing.
It's going to be a bit of fun. Not really like a punk history thing or anything like that.
But
so don't expect coming to me talking about facts about the Sex Pistols or anything.
But for people who've never been on tour but are interested in knowing what goes on tour, this is an insight into it.
Yeah, a bit of an insight into that and a bit of an insight in trying to make it, I suppose,
Lovely.
as well.
And outside of the show, where can we find you? What would you like to promote?
I guess just head to my Instagram, Searle at Searle_ is my Instagram handle. Didn't get the full Searle.
No, someone else got there first.
But I also have my podcast Oblivious Maximus with my good mate Aaron Osborne, where we chat to a lot of punk and hardcore bands, mostly Australian. That's really good fun. So if you like chats with that sort of stuff, give it a listen.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Great. All right, we're gonna have to wrap it up. But this was an awesome chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for coming on. I mean, I want to have you on again now because I want to talk more about the music stuff.
Would love to come back anytime.
We'll do it. All right.
Thank
you so much. This is Ben Searle. Check him out. Check out his show. You're listening to the All Sweet podcast. Catch you soon.
Bye.
Bang. Done.
Awesome.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
That was good fun.
Okay, that's fine. I was telling my mate, I feel passionate about the cups, clearly. I might as well put this in the podcast, whatever. I was telling my mate about how I don't support the paper cup for iced coffees. And he's like, it's like having sex with a man with a weak erection. It's just getting soft midway.